Welcome back. We are going to jump into day 3 already. So, yesterday we talked about power promises and beverages. So, I would love to know how that went for you. If you feel like dropping me a message, reply to the email, let me know how that went, whether you have any aha moments, whether maybe you were somebody that was drinking a little bit more in calories than you thought you were. I would love to hear about it. I'd love to hear how that's shifting for you. And if it's something that you need to change or want to change and don't know how, please, like I said yesterday, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help support you in walking through what that could look like. Sometimes all it takes is running that idea past somebody else and figuring it out. Anyway, big one today. We are going to jump into protein. So during our regular course, we actually spend quite a bit of time on protein. So you're going to get a very quick jump in, but protein is one of the biggest and easiest ways to start seeing change in your body. So protein is dense. Protein is going to make you feel fuller longer, and your body actually burns calories as it's breaking down protein. So when you kind of hear like, why does everybody have protein so much? Because it is really, really vital. And you do burn as you break it down. So unlike sugar that goes right into your bloodstream, broken down, stored as fat really quickly, protein does not. Protein, it takes a lot more for your body to break down. Your body uses it. Yes, you can still overeat protein. So you still need to be somewhat mindful of your portion sizes, but it's a lot harder and it's a lot more work for your body to break down. So protein is crucially important. It helps repair, and it does so many things for us. But like I said, what's really amazing when we're working on a weight loss journey is that protein actually helps us feel full. So one of the biggest mistakes I see people making with their nutrition is actually not getting enough protein at breakfast. Like, there are so many amazing breakfast foods, and I'm not here to say carbs bad, because I won't, and we will get into carbs in a couple days. But are you having protein with your breakfast? A cereal and milk doesn't really cut it for protein. Oatmeal, fantastic thing for breakfast, but are you having protein with it? And why I say that is because, we burn carbohydrates so quickly, and then they make us hungry again. And like I said, it also gets broken down quickly and stored in our bodies. So if we can have a little bit of carbohydrate, get our bodies kind of pumped up and going, and then have it with some protein that takes longer to burn and is going to make you feel fuller longer, we start to see changes in our bodies quite quickly. So I want to get into some creative ideas, like, especially around breakfast. If you're someone that does not have protein with breakfast, that would be somewhere that I would say that would be an awesome power promise to make at some point, is I'm going to include protein with every breakfast. So get creative. Maybe that's a smoothie. Maybe that's adding like, Greek yogurt, something high in protein with some fruit in a smoothie. Maybe it's eggs. Maybe it's some bacon, maybe sausage. Like, there's so many ways to get protein into our breakfast. But if it's not something you currently do, it can sometimes be like, oh, how do I add this? Or what does that get to look like? Or what works for me? What are foods that I really like that are high in protein? So I want you to start considering that. Also, we want to have protein throughout the day. So I think traditionally, especially Canadian, North American cuisines, we tend to have a big meat and potatoes dinner. And, the meat, really important, protein's really, really important, but we tend to go heavy at dinner time and not so great throughout the day. So I'd love to know, like, how could you add protein to your breakfast? How could you have protein in some of your snacks, lunch, and then dinner? So we want to make sure protein is getting into our system every single, throughout the day, not just at one meal. And the reason for that, I love to use this analogy, but it's like a campfire, right? If you think about building a campfire, you have like some paper and some kindling. Now, if you light that, it goes up really fast, and then it's gone if you don't add anything to it. So I want you to kind of think of that as carbohydrates. Just for this analogy of, if we only have like cereal and milk, which yes, there is a tiny bit of protein in milk, we burn it up and it's gone and it's left empty, right? So to keep the fire going, we'd have to add more. Whereas if you kind of think about it as a log being your protein, okay, so I'm going to add some paper in the morning, I'm going to add some kindling, and then I'm going to put a log on it, and that log's going to simmer. So that's like your metabolism, right? It's going to keep going and keep going and keep going. And then when you put more food in, you want to make sure that there's always logs, because if you ever just add paper or just add some kindling, it's going to go up in flames really, really fast, and there's going to be nothing left. So I'd love to know, like, how can you add protein to your breakfast? How can you add protein through your snacks throughout the day, lunch, and dinner? So this is a big, big, big one we work on for quite a while during our program, because the more we can get good at it, like we talked about, right? One step at a time, the more we can focus on something and get really good at it, the more changes we're going to see. And protein is actually, while it may feel a little bit challenging at first, one of the easiest pieces to change. It is going to make you feel fuller longer. And because it takes a little bit more effort to burn, you are going to start seeing weight changes, body composition changes, and things as you start to adjust that in your diet. Now, everybody is a little bit different. We will talk about specifics in our regular course of how much protein do you need personally. But I want you to just think about that as a whole, because if you can start to add and get good with your protein, you will see results. This is one of the quickest ways to results when you start to really get this hammered in. So if there's any questions, please reach out. The other piece that's going to be attached to this video is letting go of fear. So like I said, throughout our program, we kind of talk a bit about the nuts and bolts, exercise, diet, but we also talk about what's going on up here, because this is one of our biggest allies or one of our worst enemies. And sometimes we get in our heads so bad that we actually start to sabotage ourselves. I've attached this little sheet for you. Please print it out, or at least bring it up and go through it. Because like I said, the more we can dig into what's going on with us, the more we can find solutions and work around it. So first of all, it's going to ask, what are you afraid of? So I found that most fears fall into one of four buckets, and this is listed on here, and that's the fear of failure, the fear of losing control, the fear of connection or rejection, and the fear of injury, discomfort, or death. So usually our fears drop into one of those kind of themes. So I'm going to ask you again, how do you respond to that fear? So be willing to really get honest with yourself. Like I said, the more honest you can be with yourself, the better results we're going to have, and the better we can sort of start to identify what's actually going on. Our subconscious is so busy all the time. And when we can bring that out into the light and stop having it just cycling kind of behind us where we don't actually know, we can actually start making some real changes. So are you somebody that sabotages your progress? Do you make excuses to quit or run away? Do you get angry or maybe even blame somebody else? Or do you withdraw into yourself so nobody would even know anything was going on? So start getting really honest, start noticing. Maybe you don't even know right now. Maybe it's just about percolating these questions. When fear comes up, how do you respond to it? And then if you're really willing to get gutsy, what is this fear costing you? Because there's a cost to it, right? Have you lost love because of it? Have you missed out on success? Is this something where you've decided, your subconscious has decided that you're never going to be successful, so you always find a way to get out of things? Have you disconnected from people you care about or that care about you? And, let's get back to it. Have you broken a promise to yourself and lost all integrity? Right? Like, that's why these pieces are so important. Let's start building your integrity back. Because the more you start to believe in yourself, the more you're going to notice that you follow through and start doing things and you start to value yourself. Because that's where a lot of us have gone wrong. We've lost that value in ourselves and we just can't be bothered anymore. And when we can gain some of that back, exponential things start to happen. So if you're willing to get real with yourself, like I said, so many gifts. It's hard to look at sometimes, yes, but so many amazing things can come out of this. So let me know if any questions come up today. Let me know if you come across anything, any questions on protein whatsoever, and we will see you again tomorrow.